I am someone who values and appreciates our cultures. And being a mother, I strongly believe in inculcating our values and our heritage in all the youth of this country.
Yes.
Being in this State Department has been an honor for me because it has opened my eyes to the culture erosion that's happening in our country. And I am happy to be part and parcel of this journey where we are reviving and making culture cool again. So for me, it is a privilege. And as a Kenyan, all the 47 counties are part and parcel of my to-do list, Matters Culture and Heritage. We have amazing sites and amazing cultures across all the 47 counties. And sitting in the office in Nairobi, I tend to have an eagle's eye view, a bird's eye view, where I see where to improve Matters Culture, how to improve Matters Culture, and what are the tools that I need as a principal secretary to improve culture and heritage in this country.
Great. And even speaking from the community that you come from, it's a community that really upholds Matters Culture. Has that influenced you in any way through being in this ministry, and how does it help you to actually have the passion to speak Matters Culture?
Yeah, so I'm a pastoralist girl, and I came from one of the ASAL counties, as I said, Wajir. And culture has been inculcated in me since I was a child by my parents. And aside from the Somali community, there are many communities, the Maasai, who are part and parcel of the pastoralist community, who strongly practice their culture, the cultures still. And cultures seem to be eroded more in the cities like Nairobi, for instance. But where I come from, it is the order of the day. You wake up, you go milk the goats. You get the milk. For you to have milk tea, you have to milk the goats. So our culture is more or less, intermingling with your elders and listening to their storytelling periods within the village. Having this done under the skies at night with all the stars glaring down at you. So it is a culture of unity, harmony, and love at that level of the village. But when you come to the cities now, Nairobi, Nakuru, Mombasa, you realize that digitization is taking part and parcel in erosion of our cultures. And social media, for instance. Our children are glued to the screens. They're glued to the telephones, phones, and iPads. And it somehow makes it a little difficult to bring them out of their cocoon into an avenue where they can mingle and exchange ideas with our elders who are basically, an asset to this country. Yeah.
Great. Talk to me about the State Department of Culture and Heritage, which is under the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. What is your mandate as the PS, and what is encompassed in the State Department of Culture and Heritage?
Yeah, so first it's good to note that the State Department of Culture and Heritage was initially under the Ministry of Sports. But with this new executive order, it was moved to the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. And that is actually a brilliant thing for us because we are the products of tourism. We are the products that tourists come and purchase and, mingle with Matters Gastronomy, Matters Cultural Dances, and we are in the right place as a ministry. What we do as a State Department is that we basically develop, we preserve our cultures, we uphold our cultures and also our heritage sites. We have very many heritage sites in this country. Yes. We have different cultures in this country. So what we do is document our heritage. We document our cultural songs, music. And for us, this we cannot do alone. What we do is, stand on the shoulders of tourism. And you see, in this country, initially it was always, tourism was basically about the bush and bar. Bush being wildlife and and enjoying the beaches, the beaches, so bush and the beaches. So the beaches were basically Diani, Mombasa, the coastal side of this country. But then it's come to our knowledge that more than 45% of tourists who come to this country are actually interested in our cultural heritage, they're interested in our cultural dances and our foods, and they want to experience that, so they take that back to their homes. So for us, what we're trying to do our best is acknowledge that and preserve that. We have a program called the DODI project. It's basically the digitization of and documentation of indigenous assets, indigenous intelligence of now our locals. We go down to the grassroots level, and what we do is we mingle with the communities. We document their knowledge, their hubs, you know, the what do you call it, network mitishamba kwa Kiswahili, lakini in real sense these are basically hubs that are used as medicine, herbal medicine, and we document this so that 100 years to go, when I am gone and you are gone, at least we will have this documented so that it's not completely lost as a country. So for us, DODI project has been around 5 counties so far, and we intend to go around the 47 counties of this country. We have different phases. We have employed so many youths. You know, youths are part and parcel of our journey. So for every county that we go to, we employ 30 youths. We call them, we call them the champions for culture. So these champions for culture get a stipend, a per diem, an amount of money that keeps them going, and they help us digitize this at a grassroots level. And I think there's no better way to appreciate the bottom-up transformative agenda that His Excellency the President has been campaigning on. For us to acknowledge the people at the bottom of the pyramid is very important. And for the State Department of Culture, we're doing that very well because we have the DODI project that mingles with the people at the bottom of the pyramid. We have the Ushanga. Ushanga is basically what I'm wearing. It's shanga, it's the beads. So what we do is we do value addition to these products. And the pastoralist communities do this so well. So we help these women at the bottom of the pyramid by empowering them, by selling their products so that they can have a penny at the end of the day.
And we've spoken so much about children and also this generation that is so much detached with the culture. How then do you intend as a ministry as a State Department, to ensure that our children are culture aware and they also become parcel of the journey of making culture cool again?
Yeah. So you see, children are the future of this country. They're the future of this globe. And cultures are eroding. That is a given. And this, I don't blame it on anybody, but digitization. And digitization is part and parcel of civilization. So we have to accommodate it. But for us as a country, our heritage sites are not being appreciated by the youth of this country. They are not being, you know, when we were younger, we would go to the museum. Our parents would take us to the museum as a day, you know, baby's day out. And we would visit Bomas of Kenya. But with this generation, it's getting difficult because people are more glued. The youth are more glued to the phones than going to experience this and appreciate our heritage, you know, as a country. So what I'm doing to make culture cool again is basically involve the youth in that, use the celebrities who are on social media to make the part of the heritage sites of this country be seen on a platform that is very conducive for the children being the youth. And as a State Department, we are also using the youth, as I said, to use them as the culture champions at a county level, give them employment and make them mingle with the elderly so that they can appreciate and interact with the, you know, with the old, so that they can learn a thing or two. So also for me, making culture cool again is all about encouraging our children who are in schools, the primary schools children, to come and visit the museum. And I do this by working with the State Department of Education, where schools visit our museums and appreciate our heritage. Because you see, I was there just the other day, and there were so many schools, and the kids were so excited. And I think it's a good thing. The teachers are also a part and parcel of this journey. So for me, I start from the bottom going up, bottom being the young children, all the way to the adults, because the children are the future of tomorrow.
Absolutely. And even speaking of social media, we know it's an advantage on one side, on the other side it's a disadvantage, because on one side children can actually learn, like using the celebrities to actually pass these messages of culture, but on the other side there's also this other side of people underplaying culture. How do you then intend to make sure that social media and your digitization program is used for the right purpose?
Yeah, so what we do is we make our intentions very clear. We make our intentions very clear in that our target are the youth, our target are the children in primary schools. Mm-hmm. And whatever content is being created by these celebrities they come through myself. Mm-hmm. I have to see what is being put out there. I also have a team that is very functional in the State Department. The technical team actually understands what we are about as a State Department. Mm-hmm. And culture is appreciated in the Constitution of this country under Article 11. And it is part and parcel of enriching the values and preserving the values of this country. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to digitization has pros and cons. It has a plus in that we live in a globalized universe. We live in a digitized universe where everything is online. So what I'm trying to do with the content creators is whatever this youth and children see on the screens are culture and heritage, mm-hmm. so that they see, oh, there is a place called home, not necessarily, calling Beyonce your mentor. Mm. I was talking to a nephew of mine the other day, and he was telling me that Jay-Z is his mentor. And I was wondering, what? So I want to change that notion. Yeah. And I want them, to say, someone relatable is their mentor, someone, who is a hero and who was in part and parcel of the journey of this country. Yes. We have many heroes and heroines that we can inculcate in our children's brains and make them understand that these people are actually a force to reckon with, mm-hmm. and not look at the Western side and say, this singer is very cool.
Like Rihanna.
Yes, exactly. So we have to make culture cool again for them to now relate to culture.
Yes. Yeah.
So the other side, it's also good to note that we've been doing a lot of work as a State Department. We've been repatriating artifacts across the world. And so far, we have managed to do so by bringing back home almost 500 products, objects across the globe. Mm-hmm. We have a program called the International Inventories Program, which we were supported by the German government under the Museums of Kenya. Mm-hmm. And what happened is that we realized there's so many of our objects and our artifacts across the world. Mm-hmm. We came to find out through that program that we have 32,000 objects across the globe, mm-hmm. in 30 different institutions, mm-hmm. and also institutions now meaning museums, schools, universities, and these are basically in 7 countries in the up north. So for us, as a country, we're in the process of ratifying a convention called the 1970 UNESCO Convention, mm-hmm. on matters illicit import and export of cultural products. Mm-hmm. So once we ratify that as a country, mm-hmm. it is actually in Parliament. Once we ratify that as a country and we take it to UNESCO, we have a seat at the table. Mm-hmm. And for us, this is a big step as a country, because now that will give us a leeway of bringing back what belongs to us. Mm-hmm. Kenya is the cradle of humankind. We have the Turkana boy, was discovered in Turkana in the year 1984. Mm-hmm. A skeleton that was like 90% developed in that, which was almost 1.6 million years old, but it has been found in our country. And that was evidence enough to show that humanity, mankind, began in our country. Mm-hmm. So everyone came from Turkana, everyone came from Kenya, and that is an asset for us as a country. So I would like to expound on that. I would like to capitalize on that, mm-hmm. and make sure that, cradle of humankind is Kenya, and it is appreciated and it is upheld. Yeah.
How do we then also make sure that we sell our culture to people abroad, so that when they speak about the Kenyan culture, and not only Maasai but also all other communities, including the Turkanas we speak of?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. We're actually working on an app called the Sana app. It's an e-commerce platform. We realize that there's so many of our products done here in the country, but we don't have market for our products. Our people do so much work. They're so talented. They do these amazing kamba carvings in Wamuyu. We do, we have the Bombolulu carvings in Mombasa. We have the Lamu kofias, the Swahili kofias. We have, of course, Ushanga. We have the Kisii soapstone. But then we realized, okay, we have all this, but someone has to come to where you are to purchase this product. So we came up with the Sana app, which is basically an e-commerce platform where you can purchase whatever you want from the comfort of your home, your office. So what happens is we're still working on this. We've involved all the stakeholders. And it is a new app that will help even a tourist, not necessarily to come all the way to buy a carving. This he or she can do from the comfort of their homes in the States or UK. And what happens is it's just by purchasing something by the click of a button. And being a digitized world, I think this is the way to go, because the woman at the bottom of the pyramid will have her ushanga sold in the States by sitting in Narok, by being in Kajiado, by being in Samburu. So the product at the end of the day is sold, the money comes back to her, and it's a win-win for everybody.
Great, that's such an amazing initiative. Is it up and running, or?
No, it's not. We've been working on it, working on the prototype, and we are involving all the stakeholders. We will have a pilot up and running in a week, so I'm very excited about it. Yeah,
amazing.
It's a first of its kind.
Yeah?
Yes.
Great, looking forward to that. And definitely, so many people will be worried about the Westernization that has come into our culture. Even as we have tourists flowing in the country, there's a lot of influence on the Western culture, on our cultural beliefs, and we are seeing now people changing, even in terms of marriage customs. How then, as a ministry, how do you plan to curb this influence and make it positive influence, but not something that makes us forget about our culture?
Yeah, so Westernization and civilization is inevitable, but there are parts of Westernization that I personally don't deem as civilization. So as a country, our cultures are very important to us, and our children are very conversant with these iPads and iPhones and the social media. And the way that this erosion of cultures is happening is through social media and also the digitization. So what we do as a State Department is ensure that we put this in the faces of the youth and the young children of this country, that the way to go is, one, practice what your parents and grandchildren and grandparents practiced. How do we do this? We have storytelling sessions. We have the inculcation of plays and storytelling at the level of the school. And we have cultural days. We have different cultural festivals in this country. And our children see that and emulate that. We have the marriages, the traditional marriages in this country. And never will you see same-sex marriages in our country, in our tradition. What we see culturally is you go to the church, you do it traditionally, it's man and woman. So for us is to bring that out to our youth and also our children, so that once they see that we are appreciating culture as a State Department, they will emulate the same. So apart from plays, apart from storytelling, we have competitions called the Kenya Music and Cultural Festival competitions that happen annually, and it's the whole country that comes together, each county. So the competitors come up and they compete, and the winners are awarded. So we have it happening in Kitui County this year. And what happens is we showcase all our different cultures, we showcase all our different cuisines. And at the end of it, we are going to have a gala where now we'll have dignitaries and ambassadors and His Excellency also present, so that now the winner can be appreciated. And that will now encourage our youth to see indeed culture is very important, not just to us as a country, but globally. If we do not appreciate our cultures, ourselves as a country, then we have no one to blame if 100 years from now, there's nothing to showcase as our culture. Yeah, so apart from that, the State Department goes for all these cultural festivals. We work with the county government. That's what I'm saying. The evolution is very important to us. We work with the county government of Lamu for the Lamu Cultural Festival. We have the Turkana Cultural Festival. We have the Marsabit Cultural Festival, where we have the Camel Derby, racing of camels. And when you go to the western side, we have the Rusinga Festival, which is boat racing. And women are actually involved. And I was surprised to see women actually racing in these boats. And it's fascinating to see that they actually appreciate their cultures. So why can't we bring that to Nairobi? Because Nairobi is the place where we feel like, as youth, we don't need our cultures. It's boring. It's boring. But picture this. We are making culture cool again. We have a massive project coming up at the Bomas of Kenya called the Bomas International Conference Complex, where we'll be having cultural theme parks, heritage theme parks, where our children can actually go and visit a theme park within the city, go to our bomas that will still be there, our bomas, our hearts, and experience this, cultures that we have as a country.
And even as we use these kids from schools, beyond them being awarded at after the cultural festivals, how then as a ministry can you leverage on them to be culture ambassadors beyond them performing during the cultural festivals?
Actually, it's a brilliant thing to put forward. We've just been using adults and the youth as culture ambassadors and also celebrities. But now at the point of using our children, it's actually a new idea which I would love to welcome, because if you look at it, if you encourage a child to appreciate their culture and you award them and you reward them by telling them, you're an ambassador. It's actually part and parcel of making culture cool again. So I'll take that up. I'll definitely work with the Ministry of Education to ensure that our children are branded as culture ambassadors and given awards that they can even flaunt and showcase within the schools, so that the fellow students can see, wow, indeed, culture is cool. So why don't I take up this competition next time and beat my friend and get that trophy to be the culture ambassador?
Amazing. And I'm seeing a question coming in here. Someone is asking, does the ministry have, does the Office of the State Department for Culture ever thought of holding a symposium of any conference for discussing culture and religion in Kenya? This is for the purpose of preventing misconceived perception that traditional practices are evil in the eyes of all religious bodies.
That's actually a good question. We have not thought of having a symposium as such, but we have met with the different religious leaders. If you check our social media, you'll see that about a week ago, we met for a workshop called the Tolerance Workshop, which inculcates both the Christian religion. We brought pastors, fathers of the interdenomination churches of Kenya. We brought the sheikhs on board. We brought religious leaders, and what we're trying to do is merge culture with religion. We haven't done a symposium per se, but what we have done is have that conversation and start that conversation at a boardroom level with the religious leaders. So I think I would take that up and eventually organize a symposium where we'll have the youth involved, we'll have children involved, we'll have leaders aside from the religious leaders involved, and we find a way to make religion actually cool, because where we're headed as a country is even religion is not at the level as it should be for our youth. For us to believe in something, for us to strongly uphold our values, we need religion. So it is a brilliant idea, and I would love to take that up, a symposium, probably end of this year or probably next year. I will definitely plan for one.
Amazing. And we saw recently you met with the Chinese Minister for Culture and Tourism, Mr. Hu Hemping. What does that mean in light of matters cultural diplomacy in the country?
Yeah, the minister was actually a great experience for me, because he's still in the country and he came to advocate for for cultural diplomacy and tourism for tourists from China to come to our country. And this is an idea I strongly support because we currently have approximately 85,000 Chinese tourists flocking into the country. And what we're trying to do as a country is increase that number because we can do it. You find 10,000 tourists going to Thailand. And we asked ourselves, together with my Minister for Tourism and my fellow PSs who are in wildlife and tourism, why can't we have the same here? What is stopping us? So we got to have a sit down with the Minister for Tourism, Culture and Media of China. And he's ready to work with us. And cultural diplomacy is part and parcel of tourism and international diplomacy. As a country, diplomatic ties and cultural values are of utmost importance. And the only way we can achieve that is to ensure we have an avenue where we listen and we see what is it that we're lacking. Why is it that all the celebrities are suddenly going to Tanzania? Why are they not coming here? Where are we going wrong? Is it that we're not having, where is the gap? So what we're trying to do with the Minister for China is to see how then can we bring the tourists to Kenya, but before they come, how can we get to them using media, the CCTV station of China? How can we get to them by having banners and advertisements at the airports, the shopping malls in China, so that when they land in the country, they know where they want to go. Do they want to go to Mara? Do they want to go to Fort Jesus? Do they want to go visit Turkana? Do they want to go ride camels? And you see, our historic ties with the Chinese it goes way back. In the year 1414, Malindi, which is part and parcel of Kenya, gave a giraffe to the Chinese who were in Kenya as a gift. And you see, there are giraffes in China. I never knew that giraffes, but now it's good to know that there are giraffes in China, thanks to that tie and thanks to that bond we've had with the Chinese for a very long time. And for us as a ministry, what we want to do is to ensure that we embody and we appreciate the tourists that come to this country. How do we make the experience exciting? You know, tourists can go anywhere. What makes Kenya special? It is our culture. It is the experiences that they have when they come to Kenya. The food, the gastronomy, the cultural dances. You know, you can have beautiful 5-star, 7-star hotels across the globe. They can go still to Miami, they can go to Dubai. But why come to Kenya? It's not about the 7-star hotel, is it? It's not. It's not about the white beaches, the sandy beaches. They have that everywhere. What makes tourism different for us as a country is our culture, our cultures and heritage sites. Being the cradle of humankind, there is no better way to place it than to say that everybody is welcome back home. So karibuni sana nyumbani. And Turkana is home, Kenya is home. So let's capitalize on that as a country. Let's capitalize, because other countries do that. They have the smallest of artifacts or objects and history, but they do it in such a way that you get so excited to be part and parcel of the journey. You get excited to visit a country. We have that heritage here. It's a God-given. These are assets given to us by God. And you know, the best we can do is uphold that, put it out there, and get more tourists as a country. Absolutely.
Great. Hey, what a conversation. Me, I'm enjoying it. So we take a short commercial break. We'll be back with more, but of course, remember, question of the day is, do you still adhere to your cultural beliefs? At TV47 News on X, at TV47 Kenya on Facebook. The hashtag is Morning Cafe. And of course, we'll be back with this conversation with the PS for State Department for Culture and Heritage, PS Omi Bashir. course, we are having that conversation on culture and heritage with the PS State Department for Culture and Heritage, Omi Bashir. And of course, even before we left for the break, it was more of culture, but right now let's now focus also on matters heritage. And I would ask, does the office have any remote offices that do collections of history of various tribes in Kenya for archives or the work that has been to the academic, so that in order to help even academic researchers in future?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that. Yes, indeed, we have archives as part and parcel of the State Department of Culture and Heritage. Mm-hmm. First, it's good to note that we have different sagas within the State Department. And we have the Bomas of Kenya, we have the National Museums of Kenya, and we have the Heroes Council. Ushanga and the archives are part and parcel of the State Department. They are not sagas per se. They're part and parcel of the State Department. So in our country, we have branches of archives, where now we use our offices to collect records and also document these records for purposes of future use. Yes. And apart from that, we have we work with the county governments. They collect these artifacts and objects at a county level. And right now we're actually opening a regional office in northern Kenya, in Garissa, where we'll have a northern region cultural center, where all our products will be showcased and also documented and upheld. Now, as a State Department, we work with the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. For us, tourism is very important. I mentioned earlier that Chinese tourists are flocking into the country, and we're trying our best to ensure that we get more of these tourists. Yes. Now, the thing is that the tourists that come from China and go to Thailand are actually 10 million. And for us as a country, we ask ourselves, what can we do to ensure that we increase this number in our country? For us, we're having 85,000. Why 85,000? Where's the gap? So as a ministry, we're working together to ensure that we do branding, advertisements, the marketing in conjunction with KTB. And KTB supports the ministry for that. So back to your question on archives and digitization documentation. We do that, and we also do that together with the Museums of Kenya. We have the natural products industry within the State Department of the National, within the saga called the National Museums of Kenya. And we document our work. We have many researchers and doctorate holders, PhD holders, whose work is to specifically document and research on whatever we have happening at, at the county levels, at the bottom of the pyramid, because for us, museums is basically about research. When we document this research, when we have this documentation in order, how do we then use it to ensure that it's cool again and for youth to actually read? What has been happening is that we do document this information, but we store it in libraries. It gathers dust. It's so boring. It's a cake. Yes. So what I'm trying to do is to make it cool by putting it on social media, having, symposiums within the Museums of Kenya, a picnic where now the youth can come and mingle and be shown through images and videos and clips what this research is about. What has been happening previously is we just do research, it's for old people, the youth don't care. But you see, if the youth don't understand what we are researching on as a country, why are we using the government's resources to do this research, wasting the government's time if we do not even understand what the research is about? So what I'm trying to do is to have some sort of public participation and inculcating that in the youth by ensuring that they come to the museum. If not, we will come to them by using social media, by using applications, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. That is super cool for them.
Yeah, great. And even how many kind of Bomas of Kenyans do we have across the country? And if not, as a State Department, what is your plan on bringing more cultural places in different counties?
All right. So we only have one Bomas of Kenya, which is here in Nairobi. And the county governments have their own cultural departments within their county governments. And you see, we cannot have different, let's say for instance, why we have one Bomas of Kenya, here in Nairobi, is because we have different cultures, the Kisii, the Kikuyu, the Borana, all of them. You experience that in Bomas. You have the different gastronomies and different foods, cuisines in the Bomas of Kenya. But when you go to the county level, we do not have that. What we have is a cultural setup for that particular community that lives there. Yes. For instance, if you go to Mombasa, we have cultural communities that live there that have their own specific Swahili food, Swahili cultural dances and whatnot. And you see, what we don't have now, which is a miss, is having, let's say, the Luya cultural foods or dances, the bullfighting, or the cultural, artifacts and objects that we would have here at the Nairobi Bomas of Kenya. So when I was talking about the cultural theme park and the heritage theme park, when the Bomas of Kenya is constructed, probably in the next 2 years we should be done. That theme park now will have all that showcased. All the 47 counties' cultural products, cultural gastronomies, cultural dances will be there. But now at the county level, we have the cultures for that specific county. If it's Turkana, it's only for the Turkana. If it's Kakamega, it's only for that particular community. So now it becomes difficult showcasing different cultures for different communities in Kenya in one county. But I think it's something we would work towards, so that this is a devolved government. Instead of coming all the way to Nairobi to see the Bomas of Kenya, you can have it there at that county level. We're in office probably, I think, a year or less than a year. For us as PSs, we came in December. So we have a lot to do. We have a lot on our plate. And part and parcel of my mandate and my to-do list is to ensure that culture is felt at the county level. It is felt and appreciated at the county level. We cannot talk about our cultures sitting in Nairobi. So what I do personally is I go around to our heritage sites. I go and see what is Olga Saile about? Where is this Kariandusi heritage site? Where is Gede ruins? What is it about? What's the story about? How do I make it cool for this youth? How do I make our people appreciate and visit the sites? Because if we have the boardroom conversations and sitting pretty in a boardroom, it's never going to get to the people at the bottom of the pyramid, and it's never going to be appreciated by anyone in this country. So what I do is to ensure that I have a team with me that has the capacity and the magnificent brains of bringing new ideas to me, so that now I have to expedite this in conjunction with the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. I cannot work in a silo and expect to perform. So I have a brilliant team. I work with my fellow PSs because we are on government, so I cannot run alone. So what I do is pull my colleague who's in wildlife, pull my colleague who's in tourism, so that when these tourists come, they have somewhere to go and visit, which are our heritage sites, the museum, the Bomas of Kenya. Any ambassador or first lady or president who comes to this country, always visit the museums. If you check your records, always they have to go to a museum. And when they go to our museum, we always show them the Turkana boy. It is in our safe, it is locked up in a fireproof safe. So what we do, when they come, we take them there. And you see, we have, I keep talking about Turkana, because that is where humankind was born. And for me, working with the PS for tourism and wildlife makes sure that tourism, when tourists come to this country, they don't just sit in Nairobi, go to the Mara or go to the Nairobi National Park and leave. You see, we have the Nairobi National Park, for instance. It is the only park, we're actually the only city that has a national park within the city. And sometimes I was seeing our lions roaming and walking on the streets. You'll never experience that anywhere else. So for us, apart from that, within the Nairobi National Park, we are having our products also showcased. So when tourists come, they appreciate our products, they buy. Now coming back to help this woman who's at the bottom of the pyramid. empowering the women, empowering the youth. It's not all about, you know, just for youth to take selfies and look cool in the parks.
Yes.
It's also to bring money to the pockets of these people at the bottom of the pyramid.
Absolutely.
And there's no better way to do that than using the State Department of Culture and Heritage.
Yeah, and I do hope that we have those products being showcased even in the Mara right now, because I know tourists are flocking in the Mara.
Exactly.
Yes.
Actually, we're having the Maasai Cultural Festival in Narok next week. It's a big deal. It's a whole week cultural festival.
Yeah.
And we already are on the ground. We got spaces where we will showcase the products of the women, the Ushanga products,
Yes.
where we will be selling these products. That aside, we even have the climate change summit coming up on the 4th to the 6th of September of this year.
Yes.
To the KICC. And what we have done is gotten a space within KICC where we will showcase these cultural products, the Ushanga, the Kamba carvings, the Kisi soapstones, the Lamu kofias will all be sold there, so that when these dignitaries and heads of state come, they will see, oh wow, these are beautiful products. How can we buy them? And we help the people at the bottom of the pyramid, because we put this out there. The products are out there. They are within reach. So when the Sana app comes and starts running, it will be a big plus for us as a State Department, because everything will be online.
Yes.
So instead of going to Kamba land to buy a carving, instead of going to Bombolulu in Mombasa, instead of going to Lamu, you will find all this with just the tap of a button on your phone. Yeah, so you see something like the Lamu kofias, for instance.
Yes.
The Lamu kofias are done by women, and they sell to they're middlemen. Middlemen always tend to take a lot of money, and you find a kofia that goes for let's say 10,000 in Lamu. The woman who has taken time to sew that kofia will take home like 5,000 shillings. Yeah. But when that kofia is brought to Nairobi and it's sold in our malls and it's sold in these big shops, you will find that kofia is going for 45,000 Kenya shillings. So we realized the woman at the bottom of the pyramid is not benefiting. She uses almost 6 months to do one kofia and gets 5,000 out of it. Yeah. So we asked ourselves, why don't we remove this middleman from the picture? Let the money go directly to this talented woman who has taken time to fend for her family. So the Sana app is a big, big deal for us, and we cannot wait to launch it and make it part and parcel of the e-commerce of this country.
Great. In 1 week's time, we can look forward to that.
Yes.
No pressure. Okay. The Bomas of Kenya has played a critical role in promoting culture in the country, because everyone who is around Nairobi anyway, you'll just, when you think about culture, you just think of going to the Bomas of Kenya. Do you think as of now, for the many years it has been in existence, it has managed to play its role in matters promoting culture in the country?
Yeah. So you see, Bomas of Kenya has always been known for one thing. We think about it, ask anybody randomly. What is Bomas of Kenya known for? Bomas of Kenya is known for elections. Time for calculating the votes and verification and whatnot. You know, that is what Bomas is known for. Yeah. But what I'm trying to do is to change that notion, because when you see the color of Bomas, you see IBC, you see people there with the calculators and the forms, chaos and drama, and that happens only once every 5 years.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do as a State Department is to make sure that Bomas is not known for that. There's so much history in Bomas. There's so much potential in Bomas. That is why we're coming up with this Bomas International Convention Complex, which has a big holding of serious, multifaceted products all put together. We're going to have a shopping mall there. We're going to have so many things. We're going to have hotels. We're going to have the cultural heritage and heritage theme parks. We're going to have the Eye of Nairobi. We're going to have conventional facilities, because currently we have KICC, which is the main conference facility in this country. And having that in Bomas of Kenya, and also having a sports arena is also what we're planning to come up with there. Yeah. So for us, being a project that has been approved by Cabinet, we are so excited, because then our cultures will not be lost. Our cultures now, the Bomas that are there are still going to be there. We're just going to somehow boost them up a little bit, but at the end of the day, taking your children and your youth to the Bomas of Kenya is still going to be exciting. You're going to see the same Bomas that were there. What we're going to do is take it a notch higher, make it more exciting, because now it will be more of a developed area. But at the same time, you can go visit the cool side, which is the developed side, but then come back and you'll find the Bomas. You'll experience the gastronomy of that particular community. You'll experience the villages. Currently, what's happening? So many children visit Bomas of Kenya.
Yes.
And the Bomas of Kenya, if you go right now, you'll find schools of children in there queuing with the buses being there, and they're so cute and excited. And I always like just randomly going there and asking them, so what are you guys doing here today? And they're like, we want to see our cultures. And I'm like, oh, I love the fact that the teachers have put this, inculcated in the children, that you have to value your cultures, you have to appreciate your cultures. So when they come there, they go to the Bomas. The Bomas are just villages, manyatas put together. So you have a Kikuyu homestead, a typical homestead where the family lives, where the animals are, where the food is made, where the dances are. So the next Boma you go to now is a different one. It's, for instance, a Borana one. You get to experience the cultures. You go to a different one. You go to a Kamba one. You go to, you know, so it's exciting for us. Bomas is an asset. That said, it is strategically placed in such a place that the environment is conducive. We have fresh air, we have enough land. So Bomas should be more than appreciated as a country.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. And even as we speak of matters, artifacts, and also protecting our cultural heritage, in terms of protecting and repatriating artifacts in light of the UNESCO Convention, how do you intend to do that as a ministry?
Okay, so what we've been doing currently is trying to have diplomatic conversation with those countries. We have already initiated that. And the UNESCO Convention 1970 on the illicit import and export of cultural objects and artifacts is a convention that we have not yet ratified as a country, but we're on the verge of ratifying. So once that is done, we will have now a seat at the table where we will say, look, we have records of these many objects being in your museums, being in your universities. Can we now have them back? You know, currently we had vigangos. Vigangos are basically objects used by the Griama and the communities that are coastal, and to symbolize someone who died, and they're more of a spiritual nature. So what was happening is that they were stolen and they were taken out of this country. What we have been having is a conversation with particularly the American universities, the museums there, the Illinois Museum, and we got to repatriate some of those vigangos. We have a lot to do, because once we repatriate, we ask ourselves, okay, so where are we going to store them? So we have been trying to have a conducive environment, because these vigangos will rot if we just throw them in a museum and lock the door. So coming up with a conducive room which has an AC of a certain degree, and ensuring also that aside, you give this back to the communities. So what we did I think about a month ago, is give this back to the one of the Kayas, Kaya Kauma in Kilifi County, where these artifacts were repatriated, and we had a ceremony. We actually slaughtered goats, and there were cultural dances, and there were prayers being held, because these are spiritual objects which were in the States for many years. So I'm sure the elders were thinking they're somehow confused now, because they've seen snow and cold, and the weather was different, because you see, a vigango is an image of, let's say, if I pass, it is used as a spiritual image. So it is put in front of my homestead. And if that thing is stolen and is taken to America, it somehow confuses the spirits, because, you know, they're used to a certain environment, a certain homestead, a certain, you know, climate. But once it goes there, it's now, I think, starts even, you know, being a little awkward, because now when it's brought back home, we have to cleanse that and ensure we uphold the cultures of that particular community. So we are working with different universities, different countries, who are more than willing to repatriate whatever artifacts were stolen from us as a country. This has happened over time, historically, pre-independence. And usually this was being used as a means of punishment, as a means of to abhor you know, to inculcate some sort of religion by taking away your religious beliefs, artifacts that you're using as a religious belief. And the colonialists back then really took this as a punishment from the locals, from the people who are using these artifacts. And when you look at, for instance, the British Museum, I've been there and I've seen there are many of our things in that museum. There are many of our things in the British museums, which...
How do you feel when you see them?
Oh my God.
Just picking them and
I wish it was that easy. I was trying to ask them, can I have this? And they're like, listen, yeah, there are rules, there are laws you should follow. Yes. So it somehow hurts me when I see them being displaced and showcased in other countries, and the stories are not being told accurately. You know, for us as Kenyans, it is us to tell our stories ourselves, to write our own narrative or stories. Our stories are being eroded and being told in a different way. We have amazing falls, we have mountains, we have hills, we have amazing assets here in the country, but we tend to name this, you know, after the colonialists. We have Thompson Falls, we have, you know, so many hills and mountains, and
instead of calling them like Dedan Kimathi.
Exactly. We have our heroes. We have our heroes and freedom fighters. And for me, as a State Department, I also have heroes under me. Heroes is a saga, and it is part and parcel of the State Department of Culture and Heritage.
Yeah. Talk to me about that. By there's the Heroes Council that was unveiled sometime in 2021?
Yes. So basically, Heroes, we got the act back in 2014, but it transitioned into a saga 2021. This is actually the first year that we're having Heroes fully functional. Before that, it was within the State Department of Culture and Heritage, and we had staff who were acting in an acting capacity to ensure that now it's established. So Heroes basically deals with appreciating and upholding our heroes in this country, our Mashujaa. Mashujaa Day is basically about our heroes as a country. And this year, by the way, we're going to celebrate it in Kericho, and you're all welcome. And that aside, Heroes, we have a fund which is supposed to be functional. When I came in, the fund was not functional. So I've taken the necessary steps to ensure that this fund is up and running, at least by the end of this year or at least early next year, because it is important. You find heroes, many heroes we're supposed to take care of as per the Act, but now for some laxity of for some reason, that has not happened. We tend to work on disaster management and fire extinguisher mode when a hero passes on and whatnot. But what we're trying to change is exactly that, to have a safety net for these heroes, the fund that should be up and running, so that when these heroes pass away, their families are supported, they are supported. While they're still alive, we don't want to appreciate heroes, oh, they have passed away, or how do we solve this issue? We have sports heroes in this country, the likes of Faith Kipyegon, Eliud Kipchoge, and we're also coming up with a state-of-the-art sports museum, which we are going to house all our heroes, our sports heroes in this country. And we go to, out of this country, we go to the European world, we go to the Americans, and we will see that the sports heroes are really appreciated. But in our country, we seem to have, a laid-back attitude that we will do it, but if we don't do it now, we will never do it. If we don't do it ourselves, then who's going to do it? So we are working together with the State Department of Sports to ensure that we have a sports museum up and running where we showcase all our heroes, sports heroes. We appreciate them. That aside, the Uhuru Gardens, we also have a spot for our heroes where our freedom fighters are appreciated. Our heroes are also appreciated. So once Uhuru Gardens is up and running and once it's opened, we are definitely going to have a different view for all our youth, all our people in this country, because they'll be seeing what we're showcasing as a country. And heroes, another thing good to note is that we appreciate our heroes by rewarding them. Our heroes being, you can also be a hero. Anyone can be a hero. But that is laid down in the Act where we are saying, what does it take for you to be a hero? They're spiritual heroes. They're research heroes. They're humanitarian heroes, and so on. And what we have put forward actually in the paper, I think yesterday or the day before, is that we have tried to have a public notice. We've put a public notice where we want the people now to decide who is a hero in your homestead, who is a hero from where you come from. What was happening before is that a few people will decide who is a hero. And I've tried to change that, because sometimes heroes are people you don't even know personally because you stay in Nairobi. But people who are back at home in the villages know, oh, so-and-so saved a girl from being attacked by a crocodile. That is a hero. And who is a hero? There's a gentleman who the other day got a pack of money in Wilson Airport. I think a tourist left the bag in the airport. And it was a lot of money. He took it to the management. And you see, that's a hero, because that is a frank and truthful Kenyan. So we should appreciate that as a country. Religious heroes too. There are many heroes. Our heroes are not only the freedom fighters. Our heroes live within our midst. Our heroes are part and parcel of us. A child can be a hero. A grandfather can be a hero. So there's no limit to it. So you can actually go to online, our website, Heroes, and you will see that we have put an advert which will run for the next 2 weeks. Whoever you deem fit as being a hero, feel free and follow the steps that we've put forward in the notice, and take part and parcel of this initiative.
Great. And even as we wrap up, when you speak matters culture, matters heritage, matters wildlife, it's all about tourism. Has the country recovered from the effects of COVID-19 on tourism, and how do you intend to drive more tourists, both locally and also internationally?
Yeah, it is true. Tourism sector took a toll COVID took a toll on tourism in this country, and the numbers dwindled, and there were no open hotels. Actually, hotels were closing in the coast. People are losing their jobs. People are going home because there are no tourists. And thank God, now things are changing. We're getting back on our feet as the tourism sector, because tourists now have started coming back. We started flowing back into the country. But you see, yes, COVID might be gone, but then the numbers really went down. Even when you look at the museums themselves, we had no visitors as such. And this really, slapped us back to reality, in that we thought, why don't we also now go for the digitized aspect of this? Because COVID, who knows, it might come again in another 50, 60, 100 years. So what measures have we put in place to ensure that our tourists can still visit our heritage sites, at the same time make our economy something to be reckoned with? So what we have done is also gone digital as the Museums of Kenya, to ensure that even if you can't come, we have this platform where you can visit from the comfort of your home. That aside, tourists' numbers have started to increase. Right now, actually, we have a good number of tourists in our country, and you'll find all our beaches are full, our Maasai Mara is full, and this is actually good. But what we want to do is take that number higher. We want to take it a notch higher, because we never get enough of tourists. And when these tourists leave our country, what do they take with them? They don't carry the beaches with them, do they? They don't carry the hotels with them, do they? They buy our products, our cultural products. They experience our foods. They have images, they have recordings, they have videos that they display on their social media. And when they're asked back at home, yo, where's this? It's a beautiful place. Where's this? They say this is Kenya. And we get more tourists of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Piers, for creating time to speak to us. And even before you wrap up, how many languages do you speak now that you're so much traveled? And what's your favorite food?
Oh, my God. So I'm Somali. So I speak fluent Somali, I speak Kiswahili, I speak English, I speak Arabic, shwaya, 50-50. And my favorite food is ugali and skuma.
Oh, interesting.
Na nyama, nyama choma.
I'm trying to get what my director is saying here. I don't know. He's saying you said to us goodbye in Somali.
Okay.
What is Fiantai?
Fianta is how are you?
Okay. Interesting.
So